So it was a good weekend in the Joe Prunty, very short, very short era of Hawks basketball coaching. So the Hawks picked up a couple of wins. Obviously, they dominated the Cleveland Cavaliers and that game got a little bit closer than what it really was, but it was a 32-point lead at one point in that game. Hawks shot really well from the field, and then Trae Young hits the buzzer beater to beat the Brooklyn Nets, who in all honesty, I don't know why I don't know what Brooklyn's motivation was, because Brooklyn at one point on Friday night, they were down 103-53 against the Chicago Bulls. They were down at one point in that game 50 points. They in fact scored 51 points through three quarters of that game the other night against the Bulls. So I don't know what got them all motivated and excited. Maybe just playing badly. They came in here and they were going to have a spark and try to pick up a game on the Hawks or whatever like that. But Trae Young hits the buzzer beater and they beat the Nets. So good weekend. Here's the thing that was the real difference in this game. And it's the idea of Trae and DeJounte coexisting on the court and playing well together. Between the two, they had 121 points and 29 assists in those two games. They shot the ball really well. DeJounte Murray's a leader on defense. He hits that mid-range, and then Trae Young was popping threes. And then when they needed Trae Young, he's hitting the big game winner. So the idea that they were led by their backcourt, that's what we've all been waiting for. That's the thing that we have been waiting to see, is that those guys can work in tandem with one another. And they played outstanding on Friday. They were outstanding yesterday in that game. So when you look at this team going forward, if they can get those two guys to be in tandem with one another, and that's the whole thing that we've been hoping for and waiting for, is could they be in tandem with one another? Certainly that this team is going to, they can certainly make up some games. And look, at this point of the schedule, okay, you don't worry about what everybody else is going to do. You don't worry about what the Nets or Boston or Milwaukee or Miami. You don't worry about what they do. You just have to handle your own business. You just take care of your own business, because you're going to play enough of those teams. You've got a home and home with Boston. You've got 4 games against the Washington Wizards. You've got 2 games down in Miami. I think you play the Nets maybe one more time, but there are enough teams that you're going to play that directly influence, that are either right in front of you or right behind you. You don't play Toronto, you don't play the Knicks, but you can't worry about those kinds of things. At this point of the season, you just rattle off wins and the schedule will take care of itself. If you're beating Washington 4 times, if you beat the Miami Heat a couple of times, beating the Cavaliers and Brooklyn, taking advantage. Look, we talked about the idea of on Friday that Cleveland was on the back end of a back-to-back, having played a rugged Denver team, and they don't play well on the road. You took advantage of it. The Brooklyn Nets, they were dreadful on Friday. Like I said, they were down by 50 points in that game. They only scored 51 points through 3 quarters of that game the other night. So you took advantage of them. Now, listen, they came back. They had a big lead, and the Hawks had a big lead, and they allowed them cut in, but still you won the game. And that's all that you can control, is just you go out there and pile up a bunch of wins in a row. And look, does it become must win? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, Tuesday night, tomorrow night is must win for the Atlanta Hawks. You want to stay ahead of Washington? You want to not put any distance, in between what you and Washington are, or I should say expand what you and Washington are, then it becomes must win. And the Hawks are coming down to crunch time, that they've got to have a lot of these games in hand. Washington is now 2.5 behind the Atlanta Hawks. So the Raptors picked up a game on Washington. So now the Wizards are in the 10 seed. Okay, you can knock them out or keep separating. It's all about what the Atlanta Hawks do. All about controlling their own destiny. And if you get 121 points and 29 assists in back-to-back games from that backcourt, brother, that's going to lead the way. Even more than what John Collins can do. Collins had some nice dunks in the game, but he only finished with 12 points. I mean, it wasn't like he dominated. I mean, he had 12 points, had some highlight reel plays, but the real backbone of this team was the 121 and 29 assists that those guys gave you. And if they can score at that rate and they can dish it out at that rate, then the Hawks are going to win a lot of these games down the stretch. And again, taking care of home court advantage, right? That's the big thing for the Hawks. Now after those 2 wins, they're 17 and 12 at home. Okay, so they're starting to raise that profile up on their home court, right? Raising that. They were had the 4th most wins in the Eastern Conference last year. They've been a very good home court team over the last couple of years. Well, they haven't been, before this weekend, all that great at home, 15 and 12. Well, now you're 17 and 12. And now you got to handle your business even more. So, look, is it possible that the Hawks go on a pretty good run? Yes. Can you worry about all the other things and check the standings every day? No. Just have the Hawks rattle off a bunch of wins. Other than that 5-game winning streak, they hadn't done a whole lot. But what did Bogey Bogdanovic say the other day at his presser? Winning solves everything, right? We talked about that quote. What did he say? Winning solves everything. And if you pile up a bunch of wins in a row, then you'll be right where you need to be. Pile up a whole bunch of wins, pile up a bunch of wins on your home court, and you will be right where you need to be when all is said and done. Don't worry about the standings. Just take care of your own personal business because you play enough of those teams that are directly in front and directly behind you. I want to talk about our friends over at Built Bar. Listen, everybody trying to get in shape for the new year. You're looking for low sugar, low carb, low calorie types of snacks. Built Bar has got you covered. Whether you go to built.com and check out all the wide selection of products that they have, their wide variety of flavors that they have, whether you want the traditional protein bars, whether you want the marshmallow puffs that are protein infused, they've got you covered. And most of them are 130 calories with 4 grams of sugar and a whopping 17 grams of protein per bar. So whatever flavor that you want, they've got it available. But now, besides going to built.com, if you want to go the brick and mortar route, you want to get in your car and drive to the store, guess what? You can go to Walmart and pick up a box of Built Bars in the pharmacy section. Or you can also go over to Sam's Club and pick you up a box of Built Bars. So whether you go the brick and mortar route, whether you go to built.com, check out either way and pick you up a box of Built Bars today, as everybody's looking for those low calorie, low sugar, low carb types of snacks. Get yourself in shape. Get some Built Bars today.